Get me that signal. We need more power.
Welcome to another Voice of E board game review. I am your host, Elliott Miller, and today I am looking at Courtier from AEG, designed by Philip Duberry for 2 to 4 players. Courtier is another game from the City-State of Tempest line from AEG. The games are building toward the inevitable struggle for ultimate power in Tempest. Perhaps you've noticed my hat. It's quite lovely, and it's all the rage in courts nowadays. AEG describes Courtier as the social elite of Tempest live in a world of power, intrigue, and alliances that can often shake the very foundations of the city's society. In Courtier, you move within these circles of social power to further your goals. Work with established courtiers to gain influence and stymie the rise of your rivals as you attempt to earn or cheat your way into their world. In Courtier, 2 to 4 players compete for recognition in the royal court. Your mission is to act as an influence broker, manipulating, if you will, the levels of power and granting favors to important supplicants. You accomplish this by influencing key people to act at your behest. Play influence cards to gain sway over a key courtier, or play power cards to manipulate the board in your favor. Control each of the courtiers listed on a given petition, and you earn victory points for completing that request. Bonus points can be earned from cards and abilities. The winner is the player with the highest score at the end of the game. That's what AEG says about the game. Let's take a look at what came inside the box. Courtier is a fairly compact game consisting of this colorful board, several stacks of cards, and 4 bags of springtime colored cubes. Whee! So springy! The rules are fairly short and simple, and the examples come in really handy. We have here another Euro-style game, and at the end of this game, the queen is going down. You can't stop it. So your job is to subtly influence the court and complete your petitions in order to score the most points to win before the queen is taken to the dungeons. At the beginning of the game, each player selects a color of cubes and places one on the 0th place on the scoring track, which is right over there, off the edge of the board. Then they take 15 more cubes and place the rest in the reserve area to possibly get later. So here we go. Here's my cubes of influence. The petition cards are shuffled, and one is dealt to each player in secret. These are the petition cards. This is what they look like. See, this petition would be worth 5 points if someone has influence over the princess and the laureate. Then they can complete this petition and gain 5 points. They get to keep this petition. Oh, it's mine. But you get to take one at the beginning of the game that's secret, so nobody else knows what you're going for. There's also 3 others. Actually, there are 4 others that are set up on the side of the board so that, over there, so that these are public petitions that can be completed by anyone. And the rest of the cards make up a draw deck next to the board. Now, the fashion cards guide the action of the game and provide the mechanic to trigger the end of the game. This is one of the fashion cards. The game actually ends when the queen is arrested card is revealed. But you don't know exactly when this is going to be, as the deck is put together in a certain way so that the end game card is somewhere towards the bottom of the deck. You're just never quite sure where. There are different groups that you're trying to influence during the game in order to complete your petitions. These are called coteries. So this is the Culture Coterie, the Athenan Coterie, and so on. There's 8 in the game. Each one has a special ability that a player can control by holding the influence over that coterie.
Shuffle up the power and the influence decks. Influence, power, influence, power. See, influence cards say, place 1 influence on Palatine. Power cards have horrible things that you can do. Gain 3 influence markers from the reserve, or gain 1 influence marker from the reserve and play an influence card. That might come in handy. So the game begins with an auction, which I hate, so I never bother doing. The rules say that each player draws a hand of 5 cards from any combination of the power and influence decks and lays them out on the table. Each player bids on the hand that they want with their influence cubes and grabs the hand that they won. As I said, I hate auction mechanics, so I simply follow the instructions for new players that indicate you can just draw 3 influence cards and 2 power cards and start playing. So on your turn, you can do one of 3 things. You can play an influence or power card, following all of the instructions on the card, which, for example, with this one that we looked at before, you would get to actually play a second card after gaining an influence marker. So then you could play this one as well. See? So in effect, you're playing 2 cards on your turn. Or you can discard any or all of the cards in your hand, or you can take 1 influence marker of your color from the reserve. After you do your action, you can complete 1 petition if you are able. Then you draw back up to 5 cards, and your turn is over. It's the playing of that 1 card that makes all the difference between winning or losing. Most of the cards that you play will involve you placing or moving influence tokens from one coterie to another. So let's say you get to place one on a poet. See? Let's zoom in on this so-called poet. All right, we'll look at the Queen's Oath. So we place one there. I have influence over the Queen's Oath, but I also have influence over the military. So I get the military card because no one else has influence in the military coterie. Just remember, it's really important to know that when you have the most influence cubes in a coterie, you get control of that special ability. It's easy to forget to do this, and it's easy to forget to take care of that special ability. There is a great example in the book on complexities of how it all works together. And I'm going to show that example to you really quick because I think it's very good to give you an idea of how the game works. Okay, let's say it's Brit's turn and she sees a chance to score some points. She's eyeing that 12-point petition with the Princess, Guildmaster, Bishop, and Emeritus. Now, the Athenaeum has been filled up with neutral influence from a previous fashion card, so Brit already controls the Emeritus. See? The Princess is controlled by Chris, and the Guildmaster is empty, but the Bishop has only 1 of Brit's influence tokens on it. Since the Cardinal is empty of influence, Alex controls the Church's coterie ability. So Brit starts by playing the Resourceful card, the one for the royal family. Spend 1 influence marker, use this card in place of 1 courtier in the royal family coterie when completing a petition this turn. Play another card. So, she places her card down, she takes 1 cube and tosses it away into the influence marker spent pile, and then she gets to use this card to represent the princess rather than actually having to try to control the princess from Chris. Lousy Chris. Next, so she gets to play another card, so she plays Energetic, which allows her to play 2 influence cards. She'll have to draw 2 fewer cards when she refills her hand at the end of the turn, but she gets to play 2 influence cards right now. She also happens to have the influence card for the Bishop, which says place 1 influence on the Bishop. Well, she controls the Church, you see. No, she doesn't control the church. So there. Not yet. I'm jumping ahead. Since the bishop is full, she gets to replace an existing token with one of her own. So she's going to take off reds, that lousy Alex, and put her own there. His goes back in his reserve. And now she controls the church's ability. And what is the church? Because she has the most markers. She has these 2 out of all of them. So her ability says when you play an influence card, place 2 influence markers instead of 1 on that courtier. Replace markers if necessary. Hey, that's going to come in handy. For her second influence card, she plays the card Influence the Guild, which allows her to place an influence marker on any courtier in the commerce coterie. Because she controls the church's coterie ability, she places 2 markers instead of 1. So she places 2 markers on the guildmaster. I am the guildmaster. 1, 2. So now she controls the guildmaster. Since no one else has influence in the commerce coterie, she takes control of that ability as well. But that ability is only good at the start of your turn, so it's not going to help her this time. She now controls the guildmaster and the bishop by having more influence on them than any other player, as well as the emeritus because he has neutral influence, and the princess because she's using the resourceful card as a substitute. So she gets to claim the petition and place it face down beside her. She returns all the influence on the guildmaster and the bishop to the various players, returns a neutral marker on the emeritus to the reserve. She doesn't touch the markers on the princess, however, because she didn't use a princess. She used a substitute for the princess. A princess light, as it were. So, as you can see by this example, there's a lot of crazy things you can do with your influence and your cards that you put together in order to try to complete different petitions. And it's really a lot more strategic than you would think by just looking at it initially. So that is how you play Courtier. This game is chock-filled with theme. If you're looking for a sneaky, backstabbing game of court intrigue, then you'll really enjoy Courtier. There's no real direct confrontation. It isn't that kind of game. It's more sneaky, where you're trying to keep your intentions secret so that you can build up to a big petition. The game gets faster as it progresses because the fashion cards tend to fill up more of the courtiers with neutral influence markers, so that players can complete petitions more quickly. And this keeps going faster and faster until the game ends with the queen being arrested. Perhaps her willingness to bend to outside influence caused her downfall. We may never know. It is possible to run out of neutral cubes during a game, although it doesn't happen too often. You can use anything else, but it was a minor annoyance. Also, fair warning to those of you who do not like games with dummy players. Hey, dummy! The 2-player game of Courtier has a dummy player, and he even has a name. Gianni Archiato. His rules are well thought out, but if you don't like dummy players, you might want to stay away from the 2-player option. Also, it's very easy to lose track of which coteries you control, and what abilities you currently have, as they can change quickly, and you can forget that they're there. So keep an eye on your special abilities. Courtier is a good Euro game that can play in under an hour. It's very thematic, but if you care nothing for the theme, then it might not be the game for you. Thanks for joining me for this review of Courtier from AEG. Let me know if you found this review helpful by leaving a comment or sending me an email at elliott_miller@voiceofe.com or Mylantis on BoardGameGeek. Make sure to subscribe to the Voice of E channel on YouTube, as I'll have plenty of gaming, entertainment, and comic book coverage this year. It should be a lot of fun. Thanks again, and until next time, keep your mind free.
Get me that signal. We need more power.